I should have known something was wrong the moment Amber used the phrase. Test of trust. No one says that unless they already know what they're asking is messed up. We were 6 months away from the wedding. I thought we were solid, not perfect, but solid. We met 4 years ago at a brewery event in Asheville, both reaching for the same beer sample like some corny rom-com setup. But instead of cute laughter and flirtation, she just said, "You go first." That was Amber, cool, composed, a little guarded. And I liked that. It made me feel like I had to earn her. And I did piece by piece. By year 2, we were living together. By year 3, I proposed with her favorite band playing live at a vineyard in front of maybe 40 strangers who cheered like they'd known us forever. She cried. Said yes. Told me she'd never felt safer with anyone. I believed her. Then, out of nowhere, she brought up Derek. We were on the couch, watching something forgettable on Netflix, and she just said it, like she was asking for a weekend trip or a new toaster. I want to go on a trip with Derek. As a test of trust. I blinked. Derek who? She looked at me like I was being dense. My ex. From college. We dated for almost 3 years. I sat up, heart rate already spiking. You want to travel with your ex? Alone? It wouldn't be like that, she said, her voice too calm. He's doing this retreat in Colorado, some nature philosophy detox thing. He invited me. It's just 4 days. I think it would be good for me. And for us. I laughed. I actually laughed. Because who says that? Amber, do you hear yourself? You want to go on a mountain retreat with your ex as a way to prove you love me? She didn't flinch. It's a test of trust, Nolan. If we can't handle something like this, then maybe we're not ready for marriage. I just sat there. Processing. Wondering if I'd fallen into some parallel universe. This wasn't an open relationship thing. We never even joked about that. She was the one who used to say, emotional cheating is worse than physical. And now she was floating off to Colorado with the guy who used to take her to bed after sociology lectures? I should have said no right then. Put my foot down. But part of me was still operating under the illusion that this was just a bizarre test, a loyalty game that, if passed, would prove our bond was unbreakable. So I said, okay. And as soon as the word left my mouth, I regretted it. She left on a Thursday morning. Her bag was small, just a hiking pack and a duffel. She wore this navy blue fleece I'd given her last Christmas and kissed me goodbye with a softness that felt premeditated. I'll check in each night, she said. Don't spiral. That last part hit me wrong. Like I was the one likely to lose control. But I nodded. Said be safe. Watched her pull out of the driveway like she was heading to a yoga retreat, not a 4-day flashback with a former lover. The house was silent. I worked from home, which meant the next several days were an echo chamber. Her empty mug on the counter. Her hair tie on the nightstand. Her Spotify playlist still logged in. That first night, she texted me around 10:43 p.m. Just said, landed. Campfire night. No service tomorrow probably. Miss you. I stared at it for 10 minutes before replying. Okay. Then nothing. Friday came and went. Saturday too. By Sunday, I wasn't just doubting her, I was doubting myself. Doubting every memory. Was she always this detached? Did I ignore the signs? I called her around 8 p.m. Sunday, knowing she wouldn't answer. It rang 3 times before going to voicemail. I left nothing. Then, on Monday morning, I got a text. Back in Denver. Flight delayed. I'll be home late. No details. No emotion. Just a status update. By the time she walked through the front door at 11:27 p.m., suitcase in tow and that navy fleece zipped all the way up like armor, I already knew something had shifted. And not in a good way. She acted like nothing had happened. Came in, dropped her bag in the hallway, and kissed me like she'd just been away on a work trip. I'm exhausted, she said. It was a lot. I asked, did you sleep with him? Her face didn't change. No shock, no offense, no outrage. Just a moment of silence too heavy to ignore. "You're serious?" she said finally. "Answer me." She let out a breath. Sat down on the edge of the couch like she needed to be grounded before speaking. "No. We didn't sleep together. But we talked. A lot. About the past. About who we used to be." It didn't feel like relief. It felt like being handed a clean shirt after watching your house burn down. I nodded slowly. "Okay. Then I think we need to talk too." She rubbed her forehead like the conversation was a headache, not a consequence. "Nolan, I came back. That says something, doesn't it?" "Yeah. It says you think coming back makes it okay. Like you tested your little theory and now we're stronger for it. Don't be dramatic. You went off with your ex and called it a trust exercise. That's not dramatic, Amber. That's manipulative." Her eyes narrowed. "You said it was okay." "I said okay because I didn't want to believe you'd actually go. I thought you'd change your mind. That maybe you just needed to say it out loud to hear how insane it was. But you packed your bag and left like it was some feminist sabbatical." Amber stood up, arms crossed. "I needed clarity. I got it. And I want this us. I still do. But I don't," I said. And I meant it. The words came out like someone else had spoken them, but they were mine. Raw, final. Her lip trembled. That was new. She'd always been the stoic one, the calm in any room. But now her composure cracked, just slightly. "You're making a mistake," she whispered. "No. I'm correcting one. That night, I slept in the guest room. She cried in the bedroom. The sound gutted me, but I didn't move. I stared at the ceiling fan and wondered how many hours I had wasted convincing myself that someone who needed a test to believe in us ever really believed at all. She moved out 3 days later. Took her things while I was at the office, left her key on the counter, and a note that just said, "I'm sorry you didn't trust me enough to see the bigger picture." The arrogance of that line haunted me. Like she was the enlightened one. Like I was the fool who failed the lesson. For 2 weeks, there was silence. And then one Friday evening my doorbell rang. She stood there in jeans and a hoodie, hair pulled back, holding a grocery bag with 2 bottles of wine and a Tupperware container. "I made lasagna. Thought maybe you'd want some." I stood in the doorway, one hand still gripping the edge. I didn't invite her in. "Why are you here, Amber?" She shrugged. "Because I miss you. Because this doesn't feel right." I wanted to say, "It's not supposed to feel right." But I didn't. I let her talk. That's what I always did. She stepped inside like she never left. Set the food on the counter, opened the wine without asking. Her movements were too familiar. That was the danger. She still moved like she belonged here. We sat across from each other at the table. She filled both glasses and slid one toward me. "I know I messed up," she said. "But I didn't cheat. And I came back. That has to mean something. It means you know how to come home. Doesn't mean you never left." She winced. The wine went untouched. "I thought the trip would give me clarity. I really did. And it did. It made me realize how much you ground me. How much I need that." "You didn't go for clarity. You went for closure. You just didn't tell me that's what you were doing." She didn't argue. That silence was as close to an admission as I'd get. I watched her carefully. The way her shoulders curled inward now. Less armor. More plea. "We don't have to jump back into anything," she said. "Let's just talk. Spend time. See where it goes." "So we're hitting reset on the engagement? On everything?" She nodded slowly. "If that's what it takes. You want to rebuild what you broke, but you're not the one bleeding. That's not fair. It's not meant to be." The air between us was heavy again. History hanging in the space where trust used to live. She stayed for dinner. She stayed for hours. But she didn't stay the night. When she left, she turned at the door and asked, "Do I still have a chance?" I stared at her. Really stared. Then I said, I don't know. Because I didn't. And that uncertainty hurt more than any goodbye. 2 weeks after that night, she texted me. Can we meet? It's important. I almost ignored it. But something in the wording, it wasn't dramatic, wasn't needy, it was just heavy. So I agreed. We met at a park halfway between our apartments, and she was already sitting on the bench when I got there. She stood up, pale, clutching her phone like it was a lifeline. I'm pregnant. The words hit like a thrown brick. No build-up. No apology. Just a fact. Are you sure? Yes. Mine? She didn't answer right away. And that pause, that one breath too long, it told me more than her mouth ever could. Amber. I think so. Probably. Yes. Probably. That word detonated something deep inside my chest. I sat down on the bench, suddenly weightless and heavy at the same time. I need to know for sure. She nodded too quickly. Of course. We'll do the test. I didn't know who else to tell. I looked at her and tried to see the woman I almost married. But all I saw was the version of her that thought betrayal could be rebranded as growth. What do you want from me right now? She blinked like I'd slapped her. I want to do the right thing. Together. Amber, I don't even know what this is yet. What you're asking me to do is shoulder responsibility without trust. That's a dangerous ask. She bit her lip. I get it. I do. But until we know, can you at least try to be in this with me? I stood up. I'll do what's right. But don't confuse that with letting you back into my life. Those are not the same thing. She nodded slowly. I understand. And maybe, for the first time, she actually did. The DNA test took 3 weeks. 3 weeks of silence, appointments, lab visits, an empty space where trust used to live. She messaged once to say the sample had been collected. I replied with a thumbs up. That was it. My attorney, Claire, said we should prepare for all outcomes. That if the child was mine, I had rights. And obligations. And if it wasn't, I had the right to protect myself. What she didn't say, what no one says, is how humiliating it feels to have to ask a lab if your own future is built on a lie. I didn't tell my parents. Didn't tell my friends. I couldn't handle the well-meaning pity or the judgment. I barely made it through work without zoning out completely. Sleep was a joke. I started walking every night, miles at a time, looping around the neighborhood like I could outpace the dread. Then the envelope came. No call. No warning. Just a plain manila envelope with my name on it. I opened it in the kitchen, standing under the same overhead light where I'd once told Amber I loved her. 99% exclusion. I wasn't the father. I sat down at the kitchen table and stared at the paper like it might change if I blinked hard enough. I felt nothing at first. Not relief. Not anger. Just stillness. Then came the nausea. The kind that starts deep in your core and rolls upward. She had lied. Or worse, she hadn't known. Hadn't cared. Claire filed the paperwork the next morning. Legal disavowal. No paternity, no responsibility. Done. But Amber wasn't done. She showed up at my work 2 days later. Caught me in the parking lot, eyes red but determined. You got the results. I did. She stepped closer, but I didn't move. I didn't mean for this to happen. I really thought it was yours. Did you? Or did you just hope I'd be too afraid to check? Her lips parted like she wanted to protest. Then closed. She looked tired. Defeated. I wasn't trying to trap you. I laughed, short and bitter. You already had me. You just wanted to see what else you could get away with. She looked down. I didn't think you'd leave. Not really. Not like this. Well, you were wrong about a lot of things. The silence stretched. So what now? She asked quietly. Now? You figure out who the father is. You figure out your life. Without me. She didn't cry. She didn't beg. She just stood there in that parking lot, arms hanging like dead weight, as I walked away. And with every step, the weight lifted from my chest. I wasn't angry anymore. I was free. Not from her, but from the version of me who once thought love meant tolerance. The court made it official. But the truth had been obvious for a long time. Peace didn't come all at once. It wasn't cinematic. There was no sunset, no triumphant music swelling in the background as I walked into a new life. It was quieter than that. More gradual. Like coming out of anesthesia and realizing you can breathe again. I deleted her number the day the court finalized everything. Not out of spite. Just necessity. Every time her name popped up on my screen, it was like tearing open a scab. I needed scar tissue. Not wounds. I took time off work. A full week. Told my boss I needed space to reset. No questions asked? People must have sensed something serious had gone down, but no one pried. I appreciated that. Silence, for once, felt like kindness. The apartment was mine now, technically. But it didn't feel like it. Not until I boxed up the last of her things and drove them to Goodwill. Her favorite blanket. That ironic coffee mug she never actually used. A pair of hiking boots she left in the back of the closet. I stared at those boots longer than I should have. Like they held the answer to a question I didn't want to ask anymore. I didn't date right away. Didn't rush into some rebound fling to prove I was alive. That was the old version of me, the version that thought distraction looked like healing. This time, I sat with it. The grief. The embarrassment. The anger. The guilt. Let it cycle through me, ugly and necessary. I started therapy. Once a week. Just me and a guy named Jared who looked like he hadn't ironed a shirt in 10 years. He didn't fix anything. But he held space. And sometimes that's all we need. One day I told him. I think I stayed because I wanted her to become the person I imagined. Not the person she was. He just nodded. Said, "That's love, man. Sometimes it's just beautifully informed denial." I laughed. For real that time. Months passed. And one day, I woke up and realized I hadn't thought about her in days. Not even in the background static of memory. She was just gone. Not erased. Just filed away. I saw her once. At a grocery store. She was with a man I didn't recognize, holding a toddler that must have been hers. She looked thinner. Tired. But she smiled when she saw me. Just a polite nod. I returned it. That was it. Two people who once planned a forever, now strangers with history. As I left the store, I felt something surprising, compassion. Not for her. For me. For the man who stayed too long. Who loved too hard. Who confused chaos for passion and silence for peace. I don't believe in tests of trust anymore. I believe in consistency. In small, quiet choices that say, "I'm here. And I won't make you question that." Amber taught me something. Not about love. But about clarity. Some people don't lie with their words. They lie with their needs. They frame betrayal as a lesson, and gaslight you into thinking boundaries are a flaw. But boundaries aren't walls. They're doors with locks. And it's okay to close them when someone keeps walking in with muddy shoes. I'm not bitter. I'm not broken. I'm just done with tests.